And we can go to the phones next for the first instalment of our Coldplay diaries, which we had to follow during the course of the summer, with, of course, what we like to say is the foundation of the band. This is the rhythm section. We'll be talking to Guy Berryman next week, but Will Champion's on the line. Hello, Will.
Hi, Steve. How you doing?
I'm not doing too bad. Now, I understand you've got a day off today. This must be a
rare treat.
It's a luxury.
It is.
Because this is, astonishing, isn't it? This 8 days in the life of Coldplay, it goes from Glastonbury Festival to Live 8.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, right? That's one hell of a week, Saturday to Saturday, and then we've got the two biggest. Well, we've just done them on Monday and Tuesday. The gigs at Crystal Palace, which were the biggest gigs we've ever done in our own headline shows, like 2 nights at 40,000 each or something like that, which is just crazy. And then
talk us through your week then. Glastonbury Festival, which we've had so many emails about, but for you, was it a nerve-wracking experience?
Well, it was odd, when we arrived at this, we were staying at this swanky country house. It's something like the Cluedo house, with like a ballroom and all that kind of stuff. And a billiards table and that kind of thing. So we got there on Thursday night, and it was absolutely glorious. The weather was extraordinary, and then we had a really nice evening. And then there was a fire alarm at our hotel at about 6 in the morning. Someone set it off on Friday morning, and I looked outside at that point, and it was still beautiful. It looked like it was going to be an extraordinary day. And then we got into bed, but the fire alarm ceased, and then we got into bed, and then it suddenly I could just hear the thunder and the lightning, and it was. After that, it was just downpour. So we were pretty scared by that. So then Friday, we didn't go on site on Friday. And then Saturday morning, we got up and it was still pretty miserable, but the rain had cleared a bit. And then we got on our bus to go onto the site, and just driving through this kind of carnage of floating tents and like puddles and rivers of people swimming and stuff. And I saw a guy in a canoe, which was pretty cool. And then,
do you see that? Because I saw the pictures and I thought that's a stunt. Somebody's photoshopped that.
No, that's amazing. And tell you something, my friend, one of my best friends from home, Steve, was there, and he was next to a guy whose tent had submerged, and he had to dive down about 3 feet underwater to go and get his car keys, which had sunk into the mud. And he woke up on Friday morning with his kind of in 3 inches of water, his head almost underwater, which to me sounds incredibly scary.
It does, doesn't it?
So we got there on Saturday afternoon, and people were hurling all these kind of all these hobbits kind of caked in mud. It was extraordinary. I think we felt really bad. So we didn't make the mistake that we did last time of going down too early and then just kind of kicking your heels for 12 hours, because there's nothing, you don't really feel like you can really let loose. You can't really totally enjoy it because you don't want to have a drink or do anything that might jeopardize your the show. So we stayed quite reserved and just hang around for a bit and saw a few people and made sure we kind of did our last minute preparations. And then going on, I was really kind of nervous. I thought everyone's spirits might be kind of drowned by the weather, but it was, it couldn't have asked for anything more really, and the weather, I think there was a little bit of rain during the set, but it kind of held out, I think, and so it was just extraordinary to see that many people. I didn't think. It's hard to know whether how you go down, because although there's just an incredible amount of people, the first row is quite far back, and you're not really sure whether you can't really see their faces. You can just see this mass of people. So, we felt we played really well, and we enjoyed it thoroughly, but we weren't sure. It was kind of a nice. We very rarely read reviews, but it was a nice thing because we didn't really know how it went, and then people said, reading some nice things. And I want to say a big thank you to the Futureheads, who we love, but they wrote this really, really, really nice article in, I think it was The Guardian, because they asked bands to review other bands, and they wrote this really nice piece, and it was really lovely. So it was terrifying and incredibly, another great experience for us, and who knows, in a couple of years' time there might be another one.
And are you now getting the feeling that you're being persecuted by the weather? Because after a very fine Monday in Crystal Palace, Tuesday night I was actually sitting in a pub around the corner from 6 Music after finishing the show, thinking, I bet the Coldplay boys are just about to, oh my goodness.
Yeah, there it is.
There's the storm clouds.
Yeah, text messages went around all just going, uh-oh. Literally everyone was kind of thinking it's going to be another. Well, the good thing about that is obviously it's just a running track underneath the ground, not Michael Levis's farm So it was solid ground. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. So what about this Saturday then? I'm not even sure. I haven't checked where you are on the bill and what time you're playing and what have you got lined up?
Well, I believe that we're going to be on fairly early because we're playing tomorrow night in Glasgow, and then we're flying back in the morning, and then getting ready to do the Live 8, and then flying straight back to Glasgow because we've got another show in Glasgow on Saturday night. So we're kind of double gigging. But we'll probably be fairly early on. I think. Okay. I know that there's some bloke called Paul McCartney and some backing band called the U2s or something like that are opening the show. So we've got to go on after that, which is utterly terrifying.
Well, let's hope he doesn't finish with "Hey Jude." They'll still
do that. They'll still be booing him when we come on.
They'll still be singing "Hey Jude" even when you're doing Yellow.
I know, it's terrifying. But no, we've got something. All I can say at the moment is that we've got something that we're really, really excited about. And for us, the 4 band members of Coldplay, it's something that we're really incredibly excited about. That's all I can say at the moment.
Oh, you can't tell us whether it's a cover version or a guest appearance, or
I can't tell you a thing. But it's exciting.
Otherwise you'd have to shoot me.
Exactly. Okay. And every single
listener.
Absolutely, yeah. And I'm not prepared to do that just for the sake of a surprise. But no, it's really exciting. We're really looking forward to it. And an amazing day. And I read this really interesting article with Richard Curtis. The writer and the guy who's behind a lot of the commercials and a lot of the stuff for Make Poverty History and stuff. And he was being interviewed by some guy, and everyone seems to be taking this kind of devil's advocate view of Live 8 and saying, well, it's all a bit, being really cynical about it. And he said, and Richard Curtis just said, because the guy said, let me play devil's advocate for a moment. And he said, no, don't bother. Just, what do you really think? What do you really think? Is it a good thing that everyone's kind of getting together to support this incredibly good, cause? And he said, yeah, of course it is. So I think there's a lot of cynicism around it and a lot of kind of chat about it, which is all nonsense, really. It's a good thing, and it's an amazing thing for bands to be able to play together in a huge venue, and also it's raising awareness for something which is incredibly important. So that's my feeling on Live 8.
Well, we wish you a good time. It's going to be very strange, that backstage area, isn't it?
Isn't it?
With all those amazing people, just in a very, small
area.
Yeah.
All in their own little porter cabin.
I'm not going out there. Paul McCartney's out there.
Exactly. Terrifying. He actually came to our gig on Monday. Was it Monday or was it Tuesday? I can't remember.
He's checking you out. He wants to know what the opposition's like.
He's eyeing up the competition.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's it. Well, listen, thank you very much for talking to us, because it is obviously a very, very busy week for you. But enjoy your day off and have a great time on Saturday.
Thanks very much, Steve.
We'll speak to you in a couple of weeks' time when we can go completely off script by that point. So anything you want to talk about, oral postcards. That's what we're looking for.
Okey-doke.
Anything you like. All right.
No worries.
Nice talking to you, Will.
Thanks, Steve.
Take care.
Bye.
So it's Iggy Pop on 6 Music, and as promised earlier on in the programme, hopefully we have a member of Coldplay on the line. In fact, it should be Guy Berryman. Hello, Guy.
Hello, Steve. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. I'm so pleased that's worked. Now, listen, they've kept it from me, but apart from the fact that I believe you're in Italy. Is that true?
I'm in a place called Locarno, which I thought was in Italy, but it is in fact in Switzerland.
So your geography is about as good as mine.
Oh, it's shocking. But Locarno, does that not sound like an Italian place to you?
It sounds like it should be in Scotland, Locarno. Think about that.
Yes, it could be. It could be seen that way also. But I'll tell you something. It was amazing that we drove from Milan to Locarno today, and it was the most beautiful drive I think I've ever had in my life.
Is it? I mean, but these drives. I thought you drove overnight a lot of bands, but no, you drove during the day.
No, it was just a couple of hours, so we thought it was pretty spectacular scenery and lots of tunnels through mountains as well.
Oh, it sounds like some of those films from the 60s.
I'll tell you what it was like. It was exactly like the opening scene of the Italian Job, where he's driving around all that sort of those windy roads. It was a bit like that.
Wow. I mean, do you find? I know it sounds ridiculous, but do you actually learn much about the countries that you're going through? I suppose it must be a great experience. Join Coldplay, see the world.
Yeah. But unfortunately, we don't learn anything, really. I mean, if I was more vigilant, I'd sort of make a bit more of an effort to sort of go and find out a bit more sort of local information and history, but it's usually so sort of whistle-stop that, you know, we could be in any city or any country, anywhere, you know, which is really bad. But, of course, we have days off, you know, every now and again, so it's nice to sort of do a bit of exploration on those.
Well, we now know where Locarno is. That's something you'll be able to take back with you. Yeah, there we go. So, tell us a little bit about the week you've just had. Where have you been then on your travels over the last few days?
You're asking me that question, are you?
Yeah. You must remember some of it.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I've got somewhere in my back pocket. Oh no, it doesn't have the list on it. Well, we've been to,
among other places.
We've been to Munich.
Yep.
We've been to Verona, where we played in a Roman amphitheatre, which was, I think, the best venue we've ever played in.
Really?
Ever. It was like literally going back in time. You know, you could almost just imagine the Christians and the lions fighting.
With the main man at the back, Caesar is displeased. Just imagine if you come back on for the encore. No, throw them. Caesar is displeased. They haven't done fix you yet. Let's have their heads off.
Yeah, exactly. It was a bit like that. It was quite amusing actually, because they'd had an opera in there the night before. So when we came to sort of load all of our stuff in, there was all these sort of gold owls, giant gold tigers, coming out of the venue. It was like walking into a sort of Carry-On film or something. I was very disappointed they didn't let us keep one of the gold owls, the giant gold owls, on stage. Actually.
What are you using as a stage set? Do you have, 2 or 3 trucks following you around with loads of big lighting rigs, or are you keeping it quite minimal?
It's pretty. There's a hell of a lot of stuff that has to go around with us these days. As you say, I think there is sort of three huge trucks, which is just purely for the stage. Then, of course, we've got all of our equipment, and then the line. It always amazes me when I sort of swan up to the venue at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon that there's a whole stage that's been built with lights and everything's set up ready to go for us. We really have got an absolutely fantastic crew, and everyone has to work extremely hard just to put the show on each day. So it's like a small miracle happens every day.
So how long have you got before you're on stage?
This evening?
Yeah.
I think about an hour or so.
Okay. And just very quickly before we let you go then, what have you picked up as mementos along the way? Have you done any shopping, tourist or otherwise?
Actually.
No? Right. Now, so next time we talk to you, I want you to have bought a bit of tat. Okay.
A bit of tat. I did. Oh, if you're talking about tat, I did. We stopped at a service station along the way, and I was very, very tempted to buy a real horrible Swiss sort of cuckoo clock from out of the petrol station. But something in my brain stopped me actually.
Well, next time, whatever trip switch that is, just don't let it go. Right? We want a piece of we want a piece of tat for next time.
And shall I send them to your own personal house, Steve?
For my own personal use, yes, that would be absolutely lovely. Thank you very much. Listen, you've got a week off as well next week, don't you?
Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm absolutely exhausted, and I just want to sit on a beach for a week. So I'm going to stay on in Nice in the south of France and just sort of recharge my batteries before the impending 9-week tour of America, which is going to be quite a monster.
All right. Well, listen, good luck with the rest of the gigs, and we'll speak to you in 2 or 3 weeks' time. Bit tat-handed, right? Tat in hand.
Tat-handed. Okay. Don't worry, mate. I've got it covered.
Okay. Guy Berryman, everyone, on the Coldplay Tour Diaries this week. It is the Sex Pistols on Six Music. I'm not your stepping stone, and it's time to check in once again with the boys from Coldplay. This week it's Will Champion, who I think is in Japan. Is that right, Will?
I am. I'm in Tokyo.
And are you in one of those hotels where the shopping centre is in the same hotel and everything else is in the same hotel?
And no, I'm not. I wanted to be in one of those pod hotels, the capsule hotels, where you're in like a coffin and they slide you into the wall. But unfortunately, we're staying at somewhere that. Well, fortunately, actually, it resembles the hotel in Lost in Translation. I
was just about to say, is there an element of Lost in Translation? Did you arrive and did they start giving you presents?
There's always there's always like whenever we come into the hotel, there's always in our rooms there's like a fruit basket, but where each individual piece of fruit is wrapped in cellophane and sealed.
Really?
So it's a little bit strange, but it's about our fourth or fifth time to Japan, and the last time we came was a few months back, and that was the first time we really had a chance to actually get out of the hotel, and because previously we'd just be doing like 12-hour days of promo and stuff, and just speaking to hundreds and hundreds of people. But for the first time, last time, we actually managed to get out and have a look around and see what all the fuss is about. And it's we're totally smitten with it now. We absolutely love it. So we're enjoying our time here.
So what is it about Japan then that you really like?
Well, I think it's partly just the fascination with something that's you have no real kind of grasp on. It's strange walking out of the hotel and trying to get a taxi and not really understanding a single word of any, the tube maps or the street names, or not being able to talk to anyone. To their credit, to the Japanese people's credit, they are incredibly patient, and they have a far better grasp of English than I'm sure any visiting Westerner has of Japanese. So they're always incredibly patient and very nice. So, but I think it's just the entire culture is so different, and it's really, it sounds a bit naff and cheesy to go on about respect, but there is an incredible amount of respect for your personal space, for your property, for just walking down the street on a busy, the equivalent of, say, I don't know, somewhere in Soho, somewhere like Wardour Street in Soho, where there's thousands of people on the street, and it's quite a, youthful, there's bars and what have you, and then there's vending machines with beer and cigarettes and that kind of thing. And I just imagine how long that would last on Wardour Street. It would get kicked in and vandalised within an instant. But everyone just, it's there for the public good, so you keep it intact. So it's quite a refreshing way of life. We
should explain exactly where you are in Japan.
Right. Well, for this moment, I'm actually in Iemai Toshiba, which is the home of the Japanese branch of our record company, in a boardroom. But we're actually we're staying in a place called Roppongi, which is in Tokyo. It's kind of like it's a little bit like the Soho of Tokyo. So and we're just doing we did a live kind of a TV show, an acoustic performance this afternoon, and then tomorrow we're playing at the Fuji Rock Festival, which is a big annual festival that happens in the kind of foothills of Mount Fuji, where you have a beautiful backdrop. When you look out up on the stage, you can see Mount Fuji, and it's quite an extraordinary event. And we're playing with the Foo Fighters tomorrow night, which is always an honour. In fact, they're headlining. And unfortunately, we have to get the bullet train. I'm very excited about that. We're getting the bullet train from Fuji back to Tokyo in order that we go to Toronto. I think we go next. So it's all very exciting times. Is
it quite nice when you can bump into some of your rock chums then? Dave Grohl's a very nice man. I imagine you've met him on a few occasions.
Yeah, he's a wonderful man. It's funny, if you kind of get that feeling whenever, because we play a lot of festivals, or over the last few years, we've heard of European festivals, and there is kind of like that Brits abroad kind of. When you see other bands that you suddenly it's like you're kind of best mates, because you're all you're all in it together. You're all in a foreign clime. Trying to play music to Belgians or Germans or wherever. Somewhere that isn't necessarily your home territory. And so we've bumped into a lot of bands on the way that we've kind of struck up a friendship with, and games of football and that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's definitely a kind of kinship between bands when you bump into them on the road.
Who's in the Coldplay football team apart from you?
Well, it's funny actually. We just had some kits made, some proper full strip, socks and shorts in the works, and it's got we got them off I can't remember which brand it was, but we got proper ones made up with numbers and the album artwork on the front and everything. It's pretty smart. So if there's a Lamac 11, I think we'll take you on, and we'll be the better dressed.
I tell you what, I'm sure we can raise a Six music team. Mark Sutherland, I know he's pretty handy. So we'll see what we can do. Have you got a shirt? Have you got a shirt sponsor yet?
No. Well, we're kind of sponsoring ourselves.
Okay.
We have no need to source sponsors from elsewhere. I think we're doing it ourselves. But speaking of we have a five-a-side team, which consists of the four of us and one of our security guards, who's incredibly hard.
So where do you play?
I'm I like to play. Well, there's only so many formations you can do on a five-a-side. It's either 1-2-1 or 3-1 or what have you. But I like to be at the top. I'm a glory boy, I'm afraid.
And I presume being, the bass player, the rock of the band, Guy somewhere at the back, holding player, maybe in defence.
Well, actually, no, he's left-footed, so we like to put him on the left side of midfield.
Okay.
And Chris is your box-to-box midfielder.
Okay.
He'll run all day.
All right, Harry Redknapp. Now, listen, we better just because we didn't talk to you last week. I was away, and you had a week off. So, what have you been doing prior to getting to Japan?
Well, it's funny. Increasingly, the time off becomes half recuperating from a tour, sleeping and doing your washing, and then the other half becomes preparing for the next one. So there was a period where I did all my, like I said, I did all my washing, and then just catching up with family, friends, and all the people that you inevitably neglect over the months and months that you're away. And in fact, my brother is leaving; he's emigrating to Australia, so I had a particularly emotional farewell, which was, it was amazing because he's starting a new life, which is brilliant, but sad because I'm not going to see him for a while. Although I will see him before most, because I think we're going back to Australia in the new year. So basically, just catching up with all the people that you end up neglecting, and then the last few days have just been doing my laundry and packing. It's
a glamorous life on the road with Coldplay.
It really is.
Well, listen, have a great gig at Fuji. Give our regards to Grohl and the boys.
Absolutely.
And then it's the long haul off to Toronto.
Yeah, Toronto. Well, it's funny. I was looking at my schedule, my little tour book, and scheduled leave 26th of July, scheduled return 1st of October. So it's a long one.
Eye on the phone next week. But say, have a good gig, and thanks for talking to us.
No worries, Steve. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. World champion from Coldplay on the line. So it's Paddy Smith on Six Music, and it is time once again to check in with a member of Coldplay. This week it is Guy Berryman on the line, who's in Canada, I believe. Hello, Guy.
Hi, Steve.
Now, last week we were speaking to Will, and you were about to play the Fuji Rock Festival.
Yeah.
And he was anticipating all sorts of backstage backslapping, you hanging out with members of the Foo Fighters. Was it one big rock and roll party backstage?
It wasn't quite like that, unfortunately, because we had to get on a train and come straight back. But no, it's nice bumping into the Foo Fighters actually, because we've bumped into them on our travels quite a lot over the last couple of years, and I know Will and Dave Grohl have become quite good friends. I think it's a drummer thing, to be honest.
Is it?
Yeah.
What do they talk? They talk about fills.
They probably talk about cymbals and hi-hats and stuff like that. Yeah.
But was it a good gig? I mean, the setting, because you get to play some amazing festivals, don't you, these days, Coachella and places like Fuji, which I imagine is just a beautiful place to play.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the Fuji Rock Festival is actually, in the winter, it's a ski resort, so it's sort of in a valley and surrounded by sort of Swiss-style log cabins, which is very bizarre when you're in Japan to be surrounded by those. And it was really good, and we were playing... We were playing before the Foo Fighters, which was actually, in some ways, it's quite nice to sort of be second, rather than headlining, because it just kind of takes that pressure off, and you can just enjoy it a bit more. So we actually came off stage having had a really good gig.
What are the audiences like there? I'm always told that in Japan the audiences are very respectful during the songs.
It's a very bizarre experience, actually, because, it's good because Japanese audiences, they really listen, They are, I suppose, respectful, that'd be the word, because they stand and they listen, and then at the end of the song they sort of clap, and then they stop clapping and they're just sort of standing looking at you waiting for the next one. So it's quite bizarre, but it's also nice as well.
And do they understand any of Chris's ad-libs between songs? I mean, has he learnt any Japanese?
No, it's very hard language to learn. I mean, consider we're almost in a different country, sometimes every day, so it's hard to sort of, I had all these good intentions when we started touring to sort of try and speak a bit of the lingo, wherever we went, but those that idea very quickly fell by the wayside.
So you must be an expert now on aeroplane food, are you?
Yep, I've had my fair share of it.
Because you were straight off from Fuji, off to Canada, where you are now.
Yes, that's correct.
And so talk us through, where did you go first, and where have you been in the past week?
Well, we've been in Canada for about 4 days. We've been based in Toronto, and we've put a brand new show together. So last night was the first night of this new production. You know, we've really sort of redesigned the whole thing, and so we had a couple of days of production rehearsals here. You know, just you know, getting all the lights right and all the cues and stuff, and real sort of technical, boring stuff.
Oh, this sounds great though. So come on, tell us more lasers, less lasers. What have you got?
Less lasers. We had one laser before, and now we have 0 lasers. But what we do have is balloons filled with confetti.
Oh, the old balloons filled with confetti, Gambit. I'm liking this.
Yeah,
and so they come down when? During the encore?
They actually. Well, I don't want to give too much away, Steve. But
okay.
they're. I'll give you a hint. They're yellow balloons.
How more literal can we take some of the song titles? Right. So there's the yellow balloons. Have you got any screens this time around?
Yeah, we've got a real big screen. I mean, we had screens before, but they're nothing really in comparison to what we've got now. We've got very large screen behind us, which moves up and down.
And do you have to be standing in a certain place? Is there an X marks the spot on the stage?
No, not really. We're trying to make the show more dynamic, you know, and so we're really trying to, you know, try and walk around and move around a bit more. So we've got these little different areas that we walk to, and there's a section of the show where we actually we come down and we do like a little acoustic section right at the front, just a very low key thing, which kind of breaks the concert up in the middle, which is you know, it's quite nice because, you know, we never want people to get bored. You know, I've been to too many concerts, you know, of bands that I really love, and just, you know, after about sort of half an hour, 45 minutes, you know, you've kind of had enough. And so what we're really trying to do is really make the shows dynamic, and, you know, every song, you know, has a different look.
I think there's maybe a space to make some of it more choreographed.
Yeah, there's going to be a bit of, you know, dancing and ballet.
I was thinking more of Coldplay, Do the Shadows. If you've got a little bit of space to walk around in, just maybe have some sort of walk, some sort of thing where you're all doing something.
We've got a bit of a walk, yeah. We've got little walkways at the side that we can sort of go out and do our rock god things, you know. I'm still trying to get used to playing and walking at the same time without looking like a zombie.
And singing, don't forget the singing.
Singing, the harmonica playing, I'm multi-talented.
Now, listen, a couple of other things which we must catch up on before we go to the next record. One is, have you got me? Have you bought me yet? Which is something we challenged you about 3 weeks ago, I think. Have you bought me a piece of tat yet? Proper piece of tourist tat, something from your travels.
I'd like to say yes, but the honest answer would actually be no.
Okay.
Nothing. I haven't seen any tat worthy of Steve Lamacq yet, I'm afraid.
I'm a little bit worried now because obviously tat and Lamacq rhyme just a bit too well. But okay, all right. Well, that's fine as long as there's, you know, as long as you've still got it in your head. And the other thing is, we were told last week by young Mr. Champion that you do have a football team with shirts. Now he was telling us that you're very nifty on the left wing.
Well, it's very kind of him, actually, to say that.
Why, are you rubbish?
Yes, totally. But we do have the Coldplay football kit now, comprising of shirts, shorts and socks. Excellent.
All right. Well, we'll be official boot sponsors for next season. Once we get it together, we'll have a little bit of a whip round here. So, what are you looking forward to for the coming week? Is there anything? I mean, you must obviously just look at the itinerary and think, oh, look, there's just 100 more dates on here. But is there anything which sticks out for you? Any time where you think, oh, I've got a bit of time off there, I'm going to do some record shopping, or I'm going to go and have a wander?
Well, I do have to say, I mean, you know, when we sort of left to go on this tour, it's 9 weeks long, and it's by far the longest tour we'll have ever done, and so it was slightly daunting. But the way it's all been planned out for us is really good. So in those 9 weeks, we're only going to be based in 6 hotels. So we're kind of doing this thing where we base ourselves in one city, and then fly out to the show, and then fly back after the show. So there's not too much moving around. So, you know, hopefully it will be quite comfortable for us, and we'll hopefully get to the end of it.
Sorry, I just have to interrupt because it just reminds me. Somebody was talking about the Foo Fighters jet the other day. Does it say Coldplay on the side of your jet?
No, it doesn't. Unfortunately, we did try and do that, but we don't have the same plane every time. So.
Oh, I see. Right, it's not your own personal private jet. It's a string of hired-in.
Yeah,
planes.
it's like it's like a company that sort of give us planes when we need them.
Okay, well, that's all
We
right.
haven't quite reached the stage of shelling out for our own plane yet.
There's plenty of time. There's plenty of time. Really, don't worry about it. So, yes, over the next few days, anything penciled in that you're going to be doing?
Well, we'll get into New York this evening. We've got a show in Montreal, and so we're just going to be based in New York for about a week. So it's obviously it's a great city, and I've spent a lot of time there now. So I'll just be looking forward to sort of hanging out there, really.
Excellent. Don't forget, go to Bar 2A. Have you been there?
No.
Which is on the, as you'd imagine, it's on the corner of Avenue A and 2nd. And
right, okay.
It's the bar which I believe, I'm not sure if this is still true, but certainly a couple of years ago when I first went there, it was owned by the management of the Strokes, and they had that before the Strokes took off, and it's just one of these places which is quite a nice place to hang out in.
Oh, that's interesting, because I know where the Strokes management office is, and it's above a bar that I go to, which is called Black and White.
Ah. Oh, the plot thickens. I'll tell you what. Will you go down and have a vodka and coke for us down there, or something, or a nifty bottle of beer, and check it out for us?
Yeah, I'll go and do that for you, Steve.
Excellent. That's brilliant. And we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks' time.
Yes, you will.
All right.
And by that time, I will have found you some serious tat.
Okay. There's a lot of opportunity in New York, I'm sure. Listen, Guy, thank you very much for talking to us. Have a really good week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Steve. Bye for now.
It's The Who on Six Music. That's called Going Mobile, and Will Champion. How are you?
Fine, thank you, Steve. How are you?
Yes, I'm okay. You got a sore head?
Slightly.
Have you? Why? Were you out last night, partying?
Well, it was a day off yesterday. It was a rare day off. So we had a nice evening out.
It's going to be difficult this week, isn't it? I can tell.
It might well be.
So, where did you go? Was it anywhere good?
Well, I'm in New York, so we went out for a meal, and then there's a bar called Black and White, which is frequented, I believe, but I always bump into other musicians there.
Right.
Usually, last time we were there, Ryan Adams was there, and this time it was Fab from the Strokes was there. So there's always a drummer lurking around somewhere.
They're thinking the same thing, I suppose, as well. Yeah, certainly. And so, when you get a day off, do you socialise together as a band, or do you? And are you allowed to mix with the crew?
Well, the thing is, because we're doing this. The way that we're doing this tour is that we're basing ourselves in one city and then kind of flying in and out. Fly, like for example, this evening we're playing in Pittsburgh, and we'll fly out to Pittsburgh this afternoon, and then fly back straight after the show. So the crew are actually in Pittsburgh, so we're not
right, I
see them until later on this afternoon. But no, we do. Yeah, we hang out, and we're in very close proximity where we're staying to the Mac store, the Apple Mac store, where we just go and get gadgeted up, basically.
So whereabouts? Midtown, uptown, downtown?
Downtown, very much downtown.
Very much Petula Clark, very downtown.
Absolutely, yeah. We're in Soho.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, it's a lovely part of town. And it's absolutely gorgeous weather today as well. Really blue skies, nice and hot.
And so, if you're going out together, who decides? Who makes the decisions? We're going to go here. Who's the leader?
Well, I'm not sure. You get good tips. We have a couple of really good friends who live here, who always tell us, where the best places to go. So we usually take advice.
Okay. So you better tell us, since we last spoke to Guy last week, I can't even remember where you were then, to be quite honest. I think we are possibly Canada.
Yes.
Montreal, I think.
Montreal, yeah, that'll be it. That was actually that night, the Arcade Fire came to watch us, which was like, it's crazy. It was like, we were quite nervous about it because we absolutely love that record. Mm. So it was, that was a great evening. That was really good fun. And then...
They didn't like it. They left early.
Yeah, I think so. You know, I don't think they were happy, but still, they came. At least they showed up.
Yeah, that's nice.
Since then, we've been in Hartford, Connecticut, Mansfield, Massachusetts, Camden, New Jersey.
Camden, New Jersey.
Yeah, isn't that? How's that for a bit of what's the word? Kind of things coming round again, you know. Camden started off in Camden, and here we are again.
Are there any similarities?
Not many, actually. It's just across the river from Philadelphia. It's the kind of Philadelphia gig.
Right.
It's because there's a big amphitheatre out there.
Okay.
So, and where else? And we've been in... we were in Cincinnati a couple of nights ago, and then we had Pittsburgh tonight, and then we kind of start moving our way west across the country, and we moved to San Francisco and kind of base ourselves out of there for a while.
And are you quite consistent now on tour, or do you have your good days and your bad days when you're playing live?
It's starting to become more consistent. You know, early on it was kind of quite erratic, and when we did a European tour a few months ago, it was kind of some nights it really was great and everything was flying, and other nights just really nothing. Kind of we didn't get any breaks. You know, but I don't know what it was. Just one of those things. You know, sometimes you can't quite put your finger on why it's not, you know, taking off, but it doesn't. But yes, the other night I had a football injury, so I had a bit of one of our security guards clattered me into the wall. So I had
sounds like it's getting highly competitive now, your games of football.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got the kit and everything. It's all. We played yesterday as well, in fact. But I got an arm injury, and so I was a little bit tentative in the early stages of the gig. But then it started to kind of loosen up, so it was fine by the end of it. But yeah, we still do get kind of occasional ones that I mean, most of them we're kind of really happy with, and then occasional ones are a little bit dodgy, and then occasional ones are, you know, wow, that was, you know, one for the scrapbook. You know, we were ones. There's kind of 5 or 6 gigs where we'll all say, wow, that was probably one of the best gigs we've ever done. So,
and do you know halfway through the gig, or even earlier, that this is going to be the one? I mean,
well, I think yes. I think you're not sure whether it's the one, but certainly a one. You know, I think there was after we played Live 8, we played in Glasgow that night, and we were all so tired. We've been flying all day, but as soon as we came on, everything, you know, I could just tell. It was like someone, you know, flicked a switch, and it was, you know, we knew that was going to be a great gig. I don't know why. I think maybe it had something to do with all day drinking on a Saturday in Glasgow, but it was fantastic. You know, it really was instantly from the first cymbal crash to the very end. It was great.
So, what other plans have you got then for your time in New York? You got any more days off? Any more chances to go out, hobnob with the New York musician Glitterati?
I'm not sure. We're kind of. I've wasted most of my day off most of my morning because I've been in bed. So.
Have you got the Do Not Disturb outside? You haven't.
Absolutely, yeah.
You haven't had housekeeping knocking on your door.
No, they're very respectful, and also we found this amazing company that photocopies British papers and sends them to your hotel at 6 a.m. in the morning. So I've got a stack of like day-old Daily Mirrors in front of me and the Times, and it's just fantastic. I'm keeping an eye on the test today.
Yeah, we're England are something like 200. Well, I think they were 294 for 3 at one stage. I think something like that. I think.
Really good.
But I'm just fascinated. They photocopy the papers and send.
Yeah, because I don't know how. Obviously, they probably can't justify getting, however many hundreds of copies over, because they don't know whether they're going to sell them or not. So they just get a couple of copies and photocopy them.
I think this is just genius. Here we are sitting, if you will, or if not, we're actually riding on the crest of the wave of technology. And there is this thing called the internet. But no, let's go back and use the photocopier.
Absolutely, it's kind of primeval, but it works. You know. It's nice to have something physical in your hand.
Okay, let's move on. So where do you go? So you're off to Pittsburgh tonight.
Pittsburgh, yeah.
Okay. Well, listen. Have a good gig there. You got anything else ahead of you this week, which you're thinking, that'll be a good one?
Pittsburgh. Then we're playing Indianapolis, but we're playing a concert in a place called Alpine Valley, which is kind of halfway between Chicago and Milwaukee, and it's going to be one of the biggest headline gigs we've ever done. Certainly, it was the biggest in America by far. It's about 35,000 people, I think, which is pretty similar to what we were doing in the UK. So it's pretty scary stuff. It's a big old outdoor amphitheatre thing. And the venues on this tour have been so good. Really, a lot of indoor, outdoor kind of. They call them the sheds over here. That's like partly covered, then it just extends back onto a big lawn out back. So it's really, the weather's been great, and we're just totally buzzing and really looking forward to the 8 weeks doesn't seem so long now, and now we've started playing music.
Right, I see, of course. Well, let's have a good gig in, not just Pittsburgh, but definitely Alpine Valley. That sounds fantastic. What do you do to get yourself going? Do you have a hangover cure of sorts that you can let us have? Let us into the secret? What do drummers do on tour?
Apple juice is my secret, I think. I don't know why. Sweet apple juice. I'm not sure.
That's funny.
Sugary.
That's funny. It works for me as well.
There you go.
It's just mine's got alcohol in it. So, pleasure talking to you as ever, Will. We'll let you go recover and then on the road again, and we'll speak to you in a couple of weeks' time.
Jolly good.
Take care.
Good luck with this cricket.
Thank you. So it's orchestral manoeuvres in the dark on Six Music and Electricity, originally out on Factory Records, later reissued by Virgin. Not that I guess you really need to know that if you didn't already. Steve Lamacq here till 7 o'clock, and we can now join one of the members of Coldplay. This week it's Guy Berryman. Where are you, Guy?
I'm in San Francisco, Steve.
Okay, so it's New York last week, it's San Francisco this week.
Yes.
So you've moved on.
We've moved across to the other side of the country.
Okay, now tell us some of the things you've been up to. We'll talk about the gigs in a second, but I hear there is a bit of a keep fit regime, bit of running.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to sort of, we've done about 10 shows now, and there's almost 30 left to go. So it's got to try and get to the end of it without sort of dropping dead of a heart attack. So I've been doing quite a lot of running in rural America, and it's proved to be quite an interesting experience, actually, because usually we just go to cities and we play in venues in town, but now we're playing in these venues that, well, they're called sheds, which are basically man-made amphitheatres which are out of town. And so we played in Seattle yesterday, and we managed to run through like a modern sort of native Indian reserve, which is not all wigwams and feather hats and stuff like that. It's actually it's very depressing, actually, because these people really don't have very much money, and so they just sort of parked up with the trailers and sort of trucks and stuff like that, and we ended up. Myself and my friend Dan, we were chased by a couple of particularly vicious-looking dogs from one end of this area to the other. So we got a bit more exercise than we bargained for yesterday.
So what were you doing? You were just wandering along. Did they set the dogs on you, or did the dogs just come of their own accord?
No, I just don't think they were used to strangers being, running past them, and they just decided that they fancied giving chase. And we had to leg it, as it were. It
sounds like something from some sort of cartoon capers comedy.
Well, it was. I mean, it's quite. I mean, we don't really sort of get to experience rural America at all. And the last few runs that I've been for, it was like running through something from a Stephen King novel. It was just all. It was all just fields of corn. Sort of about 10 foot high either side of us. I mean, it was really amazing. That very sort of picturesque. But, you don't actually think things like that actually exist until you get out there and have a look for yourself. So
how does this work? Do you get somebody to drive you out into the country and then you run back to wherever you're staying, or how does it work?
Well, all these venues that, they're described as sheds, these man-made amphitheatres, they're all out of town in the countryside anyway, but because, they need a lot of... These places hold about sort of 25,000 people, so there needs to be sort of, someplace where everyone can park. So they're almost, in the countryside themselves anyway. Right,
I see. So are you feeling any fitter?
Yeah, so I did 6 miles yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah, which I think is pretty good. I wouldn't have been able to do that, a few months ago.
And have you been building yourself up then, starting off and then extending the distance you're running?
Yeah. I mean, just sort of gradually increasing it. So you never know, Steve. By the time I come back, I might be putting myself in for the London Marathon.
Well, we'd sponsor you. I'm sure there's a couple of people around here. We could raise a couple of quid.
We could have a whip round.
I think we could definitely do it. Don't leave it too late in the day when you're running back to the venue, though. Otherwise, running past, is that guy? It is. You'll have a whole gang just running after you.
Well, actually, I mean, I do. I have to run through the sort of car parks and stuff, and not one person has ever recognised me. And I think it's just because people don't expect, members of the band to be sort of out there running.
Yeah.
So that's really not a problem for me at all.
So tell us briefly about some of the gigs. We left Will with a hangover last week in New York.
Oh, did you really?
Yes, we did. Had to raise the poor man from his slumber. But this week, where have you been? Because you were obviously based in New York for a bit, but where have you been playing? You mentioned Seattle.
Yeah, we came over to the West Coast a few days ago, and we've played. Seattle was the first one that we've done. Actually, we're playing in Portland tonight, and we've got San Francisco on Friday, and then we're sort of heading down to Los Angeles and San Diego in the next week or so.
Okay, and are you as you go through? Have you been changing the set, introducing new or different songs?
Well, we've been sort of working it out as we go along. Some songs don't really go down so well. I think it's partly because the album hasn't been around that long. We were playing a song called The Hardest Part, and it was just kind of like it was just not really happening. So we've swapped that around for an older song, A Rush of Blood to the Head, which people sort of know. But it's just kind of like fine tuning it really, and just trying to read people's reactions and trying to make it as just maximise the effect of the set list every night.
Is there? I mean, I don't know whether you can actually see this, or whether you can sense this when you're on stage. But is there any sort of geographical difference in people's tastes from one coast to another?
Not really. No. I mean, I think you really notice you notice differences when you go from sort of continent to continent rather than state to state.
Right.
I mean, people have been really, extremely hospitable to us over here, and this seems to be going down really well. So, if every show on this tour is as good as it's been so far, then I'll be a very happy man.
Excellent. Well, listen, there's only one last question I have to ask you.
Yes.
Have you got my piece of tat yet?
Yes, I'm holding it right now in front of me.
I don't know whether I want to ask you what it is or whether I just want it as a surprise. Can you just give me? I'll tell you what. Now you've got it. I'll try and guess what it is, but just give us one clue each time, okay? So just give us a clue as to what it is. Is it? I'm trying to think. Could I hold it in my hands? Obviously,
you could.
I could hold it in my hands. Do I get one more guess? One more guess. Is it?
Soft, but not very, very soft.
Okay, all right, I'm going to think. And I'm going to try and guess what it is. Listeners, if you can help me out, it's in my hands. It's soft, but not that soft. Guy, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Hopefully we'll catch up with you again in a couple of weeks' time. Good luck with your athletics career.
I can't believe you don't know you don't want to know what it is.
No, I don't want to know. For 2 weeks, I'm going to be thinking about this. Keep me in suspense, all right?
But I'm going to have another one for you next week, though, Steve.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Right, I'll guess this one next time round, and then we'll take it from there.
Fantastic.
All right, that's brilliant. And thank you very much. Whatever it is, I'm very chuffed.
Always a pleasure, Steve.
Thank you. Guy from Coldplay, ladies and gentlemen. A round of applause, I think. So it is Iggy Pop on Six Music, Gimme Danger, of course, and we can join Will Champion on the line now, somewhere in the States. Where are you, Will?
I'm in Santa Monica, on the west coast of America, Los Angeles, basically.
Oh, not far away from our friends at KCRW in the States.
Exactly, very close.
So, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Now, listen,
Since we last spoke, we have been very well.
Well, I've got to ask you this, because we were talking last week to Guy, obviously, and I need to know, has the Keep Fit regime spread to you?
He's gone crazy on it, and in typical Guy fashion, he's doing anything he embarks upon, he does it to like 158%. So he's been going on like huge mega marathon runs, but I've been doing it in kind of slightly smaller proportions.
What you mean? You've walked to the shop,
walked to the pub and back. No, I've been doing a bit of running, but
I don't know. I'm not sure about the other guys. I'm certainly finding the concerts that we're doing a lot more, because we're playing for slightly longer now, and giving it loads. So it feels like you're getting a kind of a bit of a workout most nights. Although I certainly probably do more than Guy and certainly Johnny.
But are you naturally fit blokes? You might have to get a personal trainer on tour.
We have got a personal trainer, actually.
Oh, now, please.
Yeah,
tell me more.
It's a bit indulgent, isn't it? But it's just, the problem is that you end up going to the gym and then you do nothing because you can't be bothered. And our kind of self-discipline is what we probably lack in. So it's just someone that tells you, you can't let them down. If they say, if you've arranged to meet them in a gym at 10 o'clock in the morning, then you can't, you feel like you're letting them down if you don't. So it is worth it.
And what's your routine?
My routine is to try and avoid his telephone call and try and pretend that I've got some kind of illness.
Will can't Will can't do PE today.
Yeah, he's forgotten his PE kit. I try and forget my PE kit most of the time.
He's got a verruca. So now, listen. A while back, I think it was the last time we spoke. You talked about you keep in touch with sort of how you're doing sometimes through cuttings, and that's more than a diary. It gets newspaper clippings.
Yeah.
Since then, people have started sending us links to some of the reviews that you've had so far. And this one, this is from Tonya, who's in Indiana. That was quite a good gig, wasn't it? Where were we? The Indianapolis newspapers.
Yeah.
The review of the show, it actually says that when a rock band of Coldplay's stature comes to town, it's reasonable to hope. I'm not going to do that. I don't even know what that accent was, actually. It's reasonable to hope that every song will provide a memory. The UK quartet came remarkably close to that standard at the Wireless Music Centre. The 17 selections burst larger than life, from the confetti-filled balloons that fell during Yellow to the tender, then torrential message of Fix You.
Wow.
So you can mark that one down as a tip.
That's pretty good. Although it did say came close, we didn't actually achieve the goal that they said that that they'd hoped for.
Well,
so
I think it's
still there's room for improvement.
They said, I think they say 16 out of the 17 actually.
What was
the
one?
Final score? Hang on a second. Oh, you want me to read all this now?
I'm just curious. It's all
okay.
It's all important.
Which one do you think it might be?
I reckon we were playing the hardest part of that stage, and it's probably that.
At the Verizon Wireless Music Centre, only the hardest part slipped past. There you go.
Interesting. Well, it's good that we knew that, and it's been axed since then.
Is it gone? Is it?
Yeah, it's gone.
Is
so
it gone?
whoever Coldplay fans never hearing that song again.
And you mentioned before, like the Arcade Fire had come to one of your gigs. Have you had any other bands or celebrities, A, B or C list, on the guest list?
Well, it's funny. I'm trying to think. We just played our two LA gigs. Well, they were actually outside of LA. They were in a place called Irvine, which is about an hour south.
Yeah.
Kind of. In fact, in Orange County, home of Television's own OC.
Right.
And so usually you get a handful of people that turn up to those. But I think this year we maybe because it was so far away, or maybe just because we're not cool anymore, I think our celebrity quota was quite low. Apparently Dustin Hoffman was there.
Really?
But, I didn't stay for the party because usually you can't get into your own parties in Los Angeles because if you're an anonymous drummer, no one knows what you look like, and so they won't let you in. So I just tend to go home.
So you ended up snubbing Dustin and just
Well,
off to bed.
Not personally.
No.
I just couldn't get into our party. So
You know what it's spoken for now.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? That's
Word,
right.
yeah, the Hollywood grapevine is warning people off.
Now we have this little conversation every week with or every other week with Guy, because I've been teasing him from the start of this tour, saying you must bring us back a piece of tat.
Right.
Any old piece of tat will do. You see, I've put a little bit more trust in you, young Will.
Okay.
But I would like you to bring us back something.
Okay.
Now you're one of the record shoppers in the band, aren't you?
Yeah.
So did you do any record shopping when you were out in San Francisco?
No, that's the thing. The one place that I should have done it, because they have this amazing shop called Amoeba Records. I didn't manage to get there, but they have one in LA, and I'm going to try and get there either this morning or tomorrow morning. So if you have something specific in mind, let me know. 'Cause if there's any place in the world I can get it, it'll be one of these places.
It's an album by a band called Clap Your Hands, Say Yeah. I've only got a sort of white label-y type of thing, but there's a proper copy out there somewhere with my name on. Clap your hands, say yeah.
That's the name of the band, Clap Your Hands.
And the album, eponymously titled.
No way.
Yeah.
And which aisle to look in my record supermarket? What genre? What year?
Alt rock, brand new.
Oh, really? It's new?
Yeah, well, I think it came out around about May time. June, something
And
like
is it American or is it...
They're from New York.
Okie doke.
Is that all the information? This is like when I used to send my dad into Parrot Records with a list. Can you get me the new Cockney Rejects single? And he'd be demand that I write it down, because he didn't want to actually talk to the bloke behind the counter.
Of course not. Just hand over a piece of paper. It's not for me, you understand.
Have you ever had that thing though, when you've obviously made the wrong purchase and the guy behind the counter just looks at you in a very strange way?
Well, sometimes it happens when I'm buying. You get an odd look if you're buying 2 copies of something, because sometimes I like to buy something that I want, but also buy another one just to give it to a friend or something, and you get the impression that they think that you haven't understood that you've bought 2 of the same record. But I've never really had the kind of, are you sure you know what you're letting yourself in for record? Yeah. Okay. But I'm sure, maybe I'll get it when I get this next one, Steve, you never know.
And are you having a good time? Is it all right?
Yeah, it's been really good actually, yeah. We've had a couple of days off in LA, so I've just been doing very little, sat by the pool really.
Yeah, well.
So it's been nice weather, nice, yeah, it's just been really nice. And a couple of gigs, and then we got the MTV Awards this weekend. In Miami, of all places. P. Diddy hosting. Rumours are flying around that he's going to arrive on a white tiger.
On a white tiger?
Yeah.
Is he insured for that?
Who knows? But apparently there's only 2, what they would term as rock bands, which is us and Green Day, I think. Oh no, the Killers are playing as well. But apart from that, it's going to be Ludacris and Snoop Dogg and all of that kind of stuff. So it could be interesting.
Have you met any of these dudes before?
I met Snoop Dogg. Yeah, he hosted a show that we what was it called? The Jimmy Kimmel Show. We did the opening night of this thing called the Jimmy Kimmel Show, and he was co-hosting it. And in fact, my funniest memory of one of those things is being sandwiched in between. We were, I think it was probably the VMAs 2 years ago, and on one side of me was DMX. And the other side was Snoop Dogg and Lil Jon, and they were literally. I was passing the Courvoisier between the 2 of them. It was extraordinary bottle of whatever it was, and was passing shots to his dudes, and I was the kind of contraceptive in the middle. It was quite an experience, I can tell you.
Listen, we'll speak to you in a couple of weeks' time. Let us know what else you've been buying and listening to. We'll run through all that next time. But it's been lovely talking to you. Where are you off to next then? From Santa Monica?
We're playing in Albuquerque and Phoenix. We're going into the desert. Okay.
Well, hot dog, jumping frog.
Absolutely. Scritti Politti.
Albuquerque. Prefab Sprout.
Was it Prefab Sprout?
Don't get into Albuquerque with the wrong band.
No, that's going to be a nightmare.
Well, listen, let's say lovely talking to you, and even your football team's looking up back here.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Yeah. So we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks' time, okay?
Thanks very much, Steve.
That's lovely. It's world champion from Coldplay on the phone. Oh, they don't make them like that anymore. It's Steve Lamacq, 6 Music for a Thursday afternoon, and a chance to catch up with our Coldplay tour diaries. We haven't done this for a few weeks. I've been away. The band have been obviously away. But we're back with Will Champion, who is somewhere in the States, I'm imagining. But where are you, Will?
I'm in a van just outside the Four Seasons Hotel in Atlanta, about to get on a plane to go to Minneapolis.
So are you just leaving a hotel, and then you're just off?
Yes, just leaving. So we've been here for about 10 or 11 days, 10 nights I think, and we're ready to move on now. The camp is moving.
Is it like that? I mean, wagons roll. Is the whole convoy of people?
It's like the Roman Empire. They set up camp somewhere and demolish it, and then move on.
I see. As soon as the troops start getting bored, as soon as it begins to smell, off you go. Okay.
Precisely.
So you're, have you got a couple of days off before you have to start gigging again, or is it quite tight the schedule?
No, we've got a gig tonight in Minneapolis, and then we fly from there tonight to Austin, where we've got we kind of based ourselves for another few days, and we're playing some gigs around Texas out of there. So and then there's a couple of days off after that where we have our unofficial end of tour party.
Oh, I see. Well, listen, we have one or two things to catch up on, including some pictures you sent us, because the last time we spoke was just before the VMAs,
It was.
Tell us a little bit about, because we've seen some of the snaps which you sent us, but tell us a little bit about the experience.
Well, it was. I mean, the VMAs, all these big video and big kind of music awards are pretty glitzy affairs. But when you stage them in Miami, it's kind of asking for trouble, and so it was pretty full on. And it's funny actually because we always try and get in there, do our bit, and then get out as soon as possible, and that way we kind of, you know, we're not put out too much. But this time we just got pushed around quite a lot, you know, because our bouncers are only about 6 foot tall. But in the pop world, if you don't have a bouncer that's smaller than, you know, 6'5", then you get pushed around. So
right.
we got done in by Missy Elliott's bouncers. We got pushed around by Beyonce's bouncers. So it was interesting. So we got out of there as soon as possible.
Right. So did you get? I mean, who were the other big stars there then?
Well, there was a lot of. With Green Day, obviously, they swept up. You know, they won everything, and their performance was pretty good. And I can't really remember, to be honest. We weren't really paying that much attention, unfortunately. But no, we had a good time. You know, being in Miami was fun. It was nice, although we were just in the wake of the kind of the Hurricane Katrina, which didn't, you know, it hit Miami pretty hard, but nowhere near in comparison to New Orleans. So there was still a big kind of cleanup operation in effect when we were there. So it was quite interesting.
So you didn't have time to catch up with any of your friends from the hip hop community this time?
No, well, Chris hung out with Timbaland a bit. Chris
Did
went
he?
to Timbaland's studio, yeah, down in because he has a studio in Miami. He went down there and kind of hung out for a bit.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think. No, we kind of. I didn't pass the Courvoisier this time. I wasn't stuck in between. It was DMX and Dogg this time. So, but I did get my picture taken with some cardboard cutouts of Snoop Dogg and Destiny's Child.
It sounds very rock and roll. Listen, talking about studios, coming back from New York on the plane, I chanced upon a piece on one of the channels on the in-flight entertainment, where there was an interview with Johnny and Chris talking about making of the last record, or making records in general, and they said they know when a track has failed the Coldplay test because you wander off. It says when Will stops playing drums and picks up a guitar and looks like he's not paying any attention, that's when we know we've failed. Is that true?
Possibly, but I'm not sure. There's various litmus tests for that kind of thing, and I think what we've learned from that is that if three of us are interested enough in a song to carry on, then it's worth carrying on with. So if I walk off, it doesn't mean that the song is scrapped. It just means that there won't be any drums on it.
Brilliant. Now, listen, we were having a bit of a natter while that last record was playing, because I mentioned I was at the CMJ conference, and there was some band playing that you can recommend to us. Dirty Perfect.
Dirty Perfect.
And how did you come across them?
Through some friends, and we hung out in a bar in New York, and they're a multinational band. There's two Welshmen, an Australian and an American, and they all had kind of different bands that were going on beforehand, but they've come together. And there's two lead singers. It's kind of like a Libertines, but with a bit more of a kind of grungy, more American type sound. So there's two singers, two songwriters. It's really good stuff. I'd highly recommend it.
Okay, I'll try and check that out. I miss talking of bands. I missed a band which we've discussed in the past before. Arcade Fire.
I got a text from a friend who saw them in San Francisco a couple of nights ago. He said it was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, because they played, I think Bowie came on with them again, I think at Central Park, and I think they did a couple of songs together as, these are the stories. But the talk of the festival was a band called Clap Your Hands, Say Yeah, who we talked about last time, and I set you a challenge. Could you find us a copy of the Clap Your Hands, Say Yeah album?
Well, this is the thing. I've been doing some research on this, and I was unsure as to whether you wanted it on vinyl or CD, because I don't think that I've got a crack team of internet nerds on the case, and I don't think they ever released it on vinyl. So I've tracked down some copies of it on CD, and there's an amazing record store in Austin where we're heading tomorrow called Waterloo Records, which I know has it. So if you're happy with the CD, I shall pick it up for you tomorrow.
That would be absolutely brilliant, because of course,
No worries.
having been, despite the fact that I ended up in the States myself, completely failed to get a copy in New York. So yes, if you could put your hands on a copy in Texas, that would be brilliant.
No problems at all. But I was convinced that you needed it on vinyl, so I was fully preparing myself to speak to you, saying that I was coming up empty-handed. But now I know that you need it on CD. It shall be done.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much. You were thinking, I bet he's going to play that out, do a bit of scratching with it, weren't you? That was the confusion.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Do we look forward to Texas? Is it good for Coldplay around the Austin area? It's certainly going to be
Austin's
one of the
brilliant.
most colourful places.
Austin's always been great for us. It's been it's kind of weird. It's like this oasis of cool in amongst the kind of big skyscrapers of Texas. You know, there's a lot of places where we've played that we don't necessarily feel at home in, but Austin is one of the few places where it's got a really cool vibe. Obviously, there's a lot of colleges there and a lot of students, so it's quite a young, vibrant place, and so we're definitely looking forward to it. We're also playing in Houston, which is going to be strange because that's where they're housing a lot of the people who got affected by the hurricane. So I don't know what the feeling in Houston's going to be like, but we're really concentrating on putting everything into these last few shows and kind of going out on Friday.
Okay, well, listen, you're cracking up on us slightly because obviously you're on the move. But World Champion, thank you very much for talking to us. World Champion with the Coldplay Tour Diaries. You can catch up on some of the ones you may have missed on the website. It's bbc.co.uk/6music. Go to our homepage. You'll find all the stuff there. One to another by the Charlatans. It's 6 Music, Thursday afternoon. It's Steve Lamack, and for the final time on this tour at least, it's the Coldplay Rhythm Section Tour Diaries, this week with Guy Berryman. How are you?
Not too bad, Steve. I've got a bit of a end of tour cold at the moment. I think it's finally catching up with me now.
So what is it? You haven't been taking your vitamins, or it's too many late nights?
I've been taking loads of vitamins, but I suppose there's been a few late nights as well.
Right.
But oh God, I don't know. I'm just desperate to come home now.
Are you? Does it get like that now? When you can you see the like the finishing line though?
Yeah, I mean we've got a show tonight, a show tomorrow, and a show the day after, and then we're back home. But when we started this tour about 10 weeks ago in Japan, I mean that just seems like it was 10 years ago. It's been a long one.
But what have the highlights been since we last spoke recently, over the last, I suppose, 3 or 4 weeks, actually, since we last had a proper conversation?
It has been a while, yes. Well, we've just done the Austin City Limits Festival, which was good.
And what was it like? I mean, because obviously you had to cancel a gig last week because of the appalling weather.
Yeah, we cancelled the show in Houston because they'd evacuated the city, but as it happened, it didn't get affected too much, and so we would have been okay weather-wise to play, but the trouble is everyone left the city, so I don't think many people would have turned up.
Wouldn't have had an audience, no. And Will was saying last week that Austin is usually a great place for you.
Austin's amazing. We've just sort of had our end of tour party, and Austin's lovely because it's got this big river that runs through it, and it's got lakes and stuff. So we were all sort of messing around on boats and doing water skiing and being dragged around on rubber rings a few days ago, which was good fun.
That's probably where you got your colds, young man, I guess.
Well, it's possible.
And what was your so where did you have your end of tour party then properly?
It was in, well, we actually did quite a good trade because there's this young couple who have this big house on the lake, and we swapped them a few tickets for the festival for in return that we could borrow their house for the day. So I think we got a slightly better deal.
I hope you left it in a tidy condition, as you found it, as they say.
Well, actually, it didn't end so well the day because Vicky, our assistant, she was swimming, and I think she had a shawl or something that she laid down on the grass before she went into the swimming pool, and when she came back out, she put this shawl back on, which was full of fire ants, and so she got bitten about 25 times, and she actually had a really bad reaction to it, so I spent the evening with her in hospital. which was not quite the way I'd planned the day to go.
No, not at all. Well, I mean, I suppose at least you can say to people when they ask, how was the end of tour party? Well, I'll just say this, I ended up in hospital.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'll leave it as that, yeah.
Now, listen, because this is the last of our little phone conversations, we've got to catch up on some unfinished business.
Yeah.
Because the last time I spoke to you, you'd bought us some tack. Listeners, if you've never heard one of these tour diaries before, I've been goading Guy into trying to buy me just some tat on tour, and you'd bought some, but you hadn't told us what it was. Now, I've guessed so far that I think, what was the clue? It's soft or something. It's light or it's soft.
Yes, I can't quite remember what I told you.
Well, look.
And you would be quite correct in that assumption.
Excellent. You've bought me some toilet roll.
Yes.
Okay. Any particular sort of special American toilet roll?
Well, it was actually, I got it in a joke shop. It was a toilet roll which is full of Bushisms, I suppose, and pictures of George Bush, which is maybe not the most politically correct thing to be discussing on the radio.
But that's the piece of tat. That's the present.
Yeah, and I got you another piece of tat as well from New
Have
York.
you?
I did.
And well, you better tell us what it is, because I've got no more time to guess. Or give us a clue.
There's a lot of places in New York that sell movie scripts on the streets.
Right.
And so I bought you the script for Taxi Driver. Yeah, because I fancied. I thought you might fancy yourself as a bit of a Robert De Niro figure and standing in the mirror and whatnot. So I've now got you the script to do that.
Oh, that's brilliant! Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'll come and drop it off when I get back.
No, do come in. Oh, we'll find something. I'll have to find something
as well as the loo roll.
Yeah, yes, thank you very much. Yes, I dare say as soon as that arrives in the building, the digital camera will be out. So it's all good, and you're off coming back soon, but you've been announcing tour dates all the way along, so you're going to be pretty busy up till Christmas anyway, aren't you? Yeah,
and I've just read this morning on NME.com that we've just announced our Australian tour as well, which was a little bit of a surprise to me.
No one keeping you updated with that one.
No one keeps me updated.
No, okay. As long as you're there,
exactly.
As long as you play, then that's all right.
And I must apologise for missing our last conversation, Steve. I do have a slight confession to make.
Go on.
I did hear the phone ring at about 1:30 in the afternoon, but I decided not to answer it because I'd literally gone to bed about 5 minutes before, and I didn't think I would make a lot of sense to you.
So, are we saying, would you win the award then for the most rock and roll member of the band on this tour?
I've actually not been too bad. There's been a few late nights, but I think that night was the day that we were supposed to speak was after the Madison Square Garden show. So that was obviously, New York's always a sure bet for getting caught. It was a case of bad timing, I think.
Okay, no, don't worry. Having been out in New York myself recently and been with some friends who, while I copped off to bed about 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning, they were apparently still trying to convince a DJ in an Irish bar at 4:30 that he should carry on till dawn.
So
there you go. Well, listen, Guy, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and thank you very much for being on the line every fortnight throughout the tour, and we'll look forward to seeing you back in the UK.
Yes, I shall look forward to being back in the UK. Very much so.
Have a safe trip back, mate.
Thanks, Steve.
Take care.
Bye for now.